So as you can see, the weather has turned against me. I've had 115 kilometers to do today, and the forecast is basically for this to continue. Pretty medium drizzly rain, and unfortunately the winds are going to be picking up as the day goes on, so that's not going to be much fun crossing the high mountain bogs, but sure, that's life. I had to get back to Dublin to catch a train, so despite this weather forecast, I had to push on. In fact, I was catching the train to catch another train the following day to catch a ferry to Spain, and I'm actually recording this in my hotel room in Spain, so in very different conditions indeed. But you can also get a sense in this video of the strength of the wind. If you watch that water bottle on the right, it's about to get blown over as I'm packing my bike here. I mean, you can also see various things blowing around. Here we go. Yeah, there it goes. So that gives you an idea of the strength of what was being faced here. The west of Ireland and the Wild Atlantic Way in particular is the Wild Atlantic bit. You certainly get some pretty serious, terrible weather that just kills you completely. It's tough. So that's about the first 8 kilometers down as far as Roundstone village. Possibly the toughest 8 kilometers of the day because the winds are highest at the moment. Forecast is to die down. The rain is intense, and also it's coming along the side of Eurovelo, so it's very up and down. And also, in fact, the wind isn't even pushing along. The wind is coming from the west, which is going to help me on some stretches and hinder me on others, but mostly will be a plus. But anyway, we're underway. A good example of why it's important to pay careful attention when looking at a forecast. The wind was in fact coming from the east, and I was going to be now cycling into it for many, many kilometres. So that was really tough going as I headed down towards the turnoff from the Roundstone bog, and that got me back onto the Eurovelo one route itself. I backtracked a couple of 100 metres to film these shots of the 12 bends, and if you go back and you look at the previous video of this, you'll see what they looked like the previous day in good weather when you can see them quite well. Another thing that happened to me was it turned out my map had a dead end on it. It just ended with this gate. That's a short diversion, but it was quite annoying. Almost 40 kilometres in, one wrong turning, which was a real pain. But I'm getting there. I may cheat and skip the Eurovelo route once I hit Castle and instead take the coast road back. I'll see how I'm doing at that point. 42 kilometres in, and I've discovered that although Ireland doesn't have covered bus shelters, we do, interestingly enough, have this bike shed, which seems to be by the local recycling bins. I mean, this is on the Eurovelo route, so that may be also partially why they have it here, but it's very well constructed, considering it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, so Castle is in about 10 kilometres from here, and I'm going to make a decision when I get there as to whether I'm going to continue trying to follow the Eurovelo route or I'm going to instead take the coast road. The coast road is probably 20 kilometres shorter and doesn't involve crossing a mountain. There is more traffic on it via Galway, but I'll see what state I'm in. It's been pretty tough. Lashing rain the entire distance here and strong winds. So yeah, I'm pretty banjaxed. Fortunately, at this point, the rain at least broke, and that was the last of it I was going to see in that afternoon. This is a particularly nice stretch of the Eurovelo 1 as well, where it loops onto byroads until it reaches Castle, and at Castle I was able to get a breakfast roll and quick lunch stop. I then made the attempt at climbing up onto the bog that runs to Uachtarad, but gave up on it. So Eurovelo 1 goes up there, climb over the mountains. However, there's a nasty wind blowing. I went 2 kilometres up and I decided in terms of catching the train and battery range and everything, it was a little too risky to take that long route around. So instead, I'm going the short way, which is taking the main road from here to Galway. Disadvantage of that is there's much more traffic. But sure, you can't win them all. Always good to have a plan B when you're planning a particularly ambitious cycle, and that 130 kilometres was ambitious enough in good weather. At least the plan B option meant that I could get a pint on the way, catch the train and get
onto that train and move onwards until I was heading back to Dublin and my ferry to Bilbao, which I would not have liked to miss. That would have actually been quite tragic. This is a quick video of this account. I'm recording it on the run. I'll do a longer one, possibly in the autumn, using my road footage as well. So please do give the channel a follow, and if you found the video interesting, give it a thumbs up.